We're continuing today with what it means to walk the path, what it means to walk with the Rishi, what it means to walk with God, what it means to walk with your master self, what it means to walk with love, with wisdom, with higher purpose. And so the question that was posed to me is, when the emotions arise, do they have a purpose? Are they signaling something? How should we respond to our emotion? That's the question, yes? And so we live in a society, in a world culture that more and more is becoming very heady, very intellectual, and very mind-controlled. And so our emotional flow is being dismissed. Our emotional intelligence is not given much opportunity to even develop or mature or to become enlightened or illumined. So the emotions can be a source of illumination, yet they must be recognized. And so when emotions arise, when you walk with the Rishi, what I tell you is to embrace yourself. If you have a strong emotion or even a subtle emotion that is arising, connect with it. Pay attention to it, but do so from the witnessing state, from the timeless presence. Do you understand? But that moment where you bother, you take that moment to embrace yourself, to connect with that emotion. Then it can tell you what is the content of awareness, of consciousness, of intelligence that lies within that emotion. And so our response to our emotions is still fight or flight. This is why in the reality of peeling the onion, if you will, which as an enlightened master I will tell you, we no longer have time to peel the onion in this slow, arduous, laborious, somewhat painful approach to peeling the onion. When it is self-connection that is really the thing that is needed, so that you're aware of what is your emotion telling you. So if you feel that twinge of emotion, the upswell of emotion, emotion washing over you, what is the emotion saying? Rather than going into the mind, fight or flight, and so either there's a reaction where the emotion is flinging itself out into the world, oftentimes with less than desirable results, or you are censoring it. So do you see that fight or flight is still very much the knee-jerk monkey mind approach to what to do with the emotions? When you begin the practice of self-connection, of paying attention to that emotion that has arisen, you have already begun to transform the emotions. And so just like the small child that is kicking and screaming to get attention, if you connect with yourself, your emotions don't have to kick and scream to get your attention, nor are you projecting that on anyone else. So is this helping to answer the question just a little bit? But the more that you connect with yourself, with the meditative mind that has been entrained through transcendent meditation, through Omni meditation, through divine alignment, through inner purification, then the awareness with which you are self-connecting and embracing that emotion, even anger, disappointment, frustration, whatever it is, connect immediately, then you will come to know what is your aligned action that is in harmony with that emotion. Do you see what I'm saying? And so is that emotion signaling that you need a timeout, that you need 5 minutes that day? Is that emotion signaling that you need to set a boundary? Is that emotion signaling that you need to actually listen to the child or the spouse or the coworker who's trying to get your attention? So the emotion always is going to have underlying information. The most important thing is to also look at and feel and sense and know the entire realm of instincts and intuition and emotion. Do you see? These are not linear things, but they are the signals that we are receiving all the time, all day long. But when there's a lack of self-knowledge, when you have not been entrained to know thyself, to leave no stone unturned, that you know thyself. So my question in this to you, as we're speaking about what do the emotions signal to us, what purpose do they have, my question to each of you is, how well do you know yourself? How well are you apprised of your own inner landscape, your own inner dynamics, and the degree to which you have mastery with your own inner governance, your own internal process, do you see? So some 30, 40 years ago, a beautiful master said to me, know thyself, leave no stone unturned. And I took that very literally. And I came to know every single chakra. I sat with the root chakra, the belly chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, the crown, and the higher chakras. I sat with each chakra. I paid attention. I immersed. I meditated, and I came to know the content of self, of inner dynamics associated with that chakra. That is one approach. But normally, if you connect with yourself and you're paying attention, from where is that emotion arising? What part of yourself needs that moment of connection? The second you connect, then you have synapse, do you see? So the connection, that awareness, that intention to connect allows a natural, powerful, organic synapse to happen where you become operative with your intuition, with your instincts, and with your emotions. Do you understand? So when you connect, especially when you do so from an illumined impartiality, then you are taking that moment to know thyself, to understand thy dynamics. And what I would say to you is that every human being, no matter who you are, you will have latent tendencies and you will have active tendencies. Most spiritual students, most of the most serious initiates who have dedicated their lives to walking their path do not have a clue what to do with the big ominous cloud called the dark side. And this can be a bit hubris, if you will. But one must know thyself. And so one must also just come into a intelligent appreciation that stress triggers latent tendencies. Stress, frustration, unattended lifestyles that are out of balance automatically trigger that which is latent. So they trigger angers that are latent, disappointments that are latent, a sense of betrayal or abandonment. It triggers all of those things. So the more stressed you are, the more triggered you will be. But what stops that whole hamster cage, if you will, that hamster wheel from turning? And you're in the imprisonment of the hamster that goes to that cage and spins and repeats the karma over and over and over again. And the single moment that you pay attention and just connect with yourself in that moment, you can do so in Grand Central Station. You can do so while talking to a group full of people. Just that moment of self-connection. And then it's, what is the self telling me? What is my emotion telling me? And the timeless self that is connecting with that emotion. So then what comes to happen? There is a synthesis, a divine synthesis in that moment of self-connection, dear ones. Do you see? Just pausing, even in the middle of a busy day, and making that connection with that emotion. It will inform you. It will inform you. And there are times when the full flow of emotion is absolutely perfect and authentically essential to the moment. And many of us hold back our tears when we shouldn't. And many of us spew our tears when probably it is quite out of self-responsibility to do so. But when there is a full and authentic reason to allow the tears, to allow the emotions, my advice is to allow them. To show your vulnerability when it truly is authentically the most real and aligned thing you could possibly do is to allow the emotion to flow out. But it is by connecting that you will have that spiritual awareness, that emotional intelligence, to just allow the emotion its free expression, or to make that connection so that the signal, the message of what the emotion is wanting to get across to you begins that synapse of timeless awareness and the emotion that arises, because the timeless awareness will stand back and allow the emotion to be expressed fully. Or the timeless awareness will connect with that emotion, and the signal that it needed to message you with is satisfied. It is registered, and the synthesis has already occurred. And so the beauty of the royal path, the beauty of walking the path consciously, is that divine synthesis is continual. Divine synthesis is fluid. Do you see? It is moving with you. It is the truth of your being, and you are not suffocating it, stymieing it. Do you see? Suppressing it, oppressing it. Do you see? But know thyself, embrace thyself, connect. And then the synthesis begins. The synthesis, dear ones, that is your divine becoming. And so if I were to conclude this little talk on what is the purpose of emotions and what do they signal us, the signal of an emotion is where you become aware that the opportunity for divine synthesis has begun. Connect and allow that divine synthesis to unfold. And your emotion then becomes your teacher. Do you see? What is the emotion teaching you about yourself? That you know thyself and you leave no stone unturned. But ignoring the emotions, suppressing the emotions, allowing the mind to overlord the emotions, it's not the same thing as embracing that moment of an emotional upswell, whether it is teeny, teeny, tiny in its registration in your being, or whether it's all but overwhelming in your registration of being. It is that timeless awareness that you embrace it with. And therefore, divine alignment, Omni meditation empowers you to embrace your emotional life and all that it is seeking to signal and message to you with your timeless awareness, with the witness state, dear ones, with your master self, your higher self, your energy of your soul, your universal presence. And so what am I really talking about? By staying present to yourself. Divine synthesis becomes the teacher, and it is divine synthesis that is also the enrichment of your Omni becoming, your Omni self, the Omni becoming, the divine becoming, so that you are unfolding yourself without impeding your own flowering. Do you see? So it is that moment of divine synthesis that is your divine becoming. It is your flowering, where everything in every moment, as you embrace, as you stay present, becomes your teacher, and thereby you are enriched. So be with this little talk, if you will, and really understand that when you truly are honoring yourself, the connection is ever present, the divine synthesis is ever present, and your divine becoming is flowering, flowering and flowering effortlessly, simply through your own decision to connect. Do you see? Is that helpful? Let's contemplate for a few moments, shall we? What of what I have shared with you is most meaningful to you? What is your take home? What do you need to really embrace and bring into your heart in this moment? And just take a few moments to do so. Blessings. Contemplate. Deepen.